Amazon has several different ways that you can bid on keywords. So Amazon is an auction and they give you 4 different ways to do that. And we're going to go over that here in this video. So the 4 different bidding strategies that Amazon allows you to do are fixed bids, dynamic bids, down only, dynamic bids, up and down, and one that a lot of people aren't necessarily familiar with, which is rule-based bidding, where you can bid on a particular ROAS. So I'm going to go through each of those, the pros and cons of them in this video. So let's go ahead and get into this. So this is our standard operating procedures, what our team looks at when deciding what bidding strategies to use in particular situations, because they're not necessarily a one size fits all. One very popular one that folks like to use is called fixed bids. So fixed bids means exactly that. You're bidding a particular number and you're going to bid exactly that. What you're saying is if your bid is 97 cents, you don't want to spend a dime more or a penny less, or basically you want to spend that exact amount. So you're saying, this is my bid. You're being very precise. You're giving Amazon the exact amount that you want to bid on. So this is something to use when maybe your brand is just starting out and you want to gain impressions. You don't want them to bid you down. You don't want to go up too much. So you want to be very precise in what you're doing. So this is oftentimes good for new campaigns. If your campaigns are performing well and you want to get very specific on that particular number, you don't want to go up or down too much. Then there's bids down only. So this is what I would say is the general default, so to speak. So we put it here on our SOP is for general use. I think it's kind of the default. When in doubt, you're not sure, just bid down. That way, you're not bidding too much accidentally because maybe you don't have history on it, but you're willing to bid down. So if you think of it, this is like eBay. eBay is like an auction, as I'm sure probably a lot of people bought things from eBay. You put in a bid of $100 for an item, but maybe you only end up spending $97 because that was just a little bit more than the person under you bid, because maybe they were bidding $95. And so they bid you up just a little bit in whatever increments they were looking for. Dynamic bids down only is very similar to that. So you're basically saying, this is the cap of what I'm willing to spend, and they won't go above that, but they will go below that. Then you have dynamic bids up and down. This is the one that's a little more scary. This is saying, hey, Amazon, I want to bid, let's say $1. So if you go if they can get you, good placements for 96 cents, they'll do it. But you could say you want to potentially bid an extra 100%. So your dollar bid could suddenly become a $2. The thing to keep in mind with that is this is good if you're trying to get impressions and things of that from whatever you're trying to bid on. This is a great way to go a little bit above and beyond. You're giving Amazon a little extra leeway to, if they think they can get you more impressions. So this is going to help you get more data. This is also good if you have started your campaigns and you kind of have an idea of where that bid should be. Now, the one thing I would caution people with up and down is it is stackable with other ups, for example, placements. So if you're bidding an extra 100% on placements and you're bidding 100% on up and down, you're basically saying if you had a dollar bid, your dollar bid, let's say you had 100% that they could go up for the bid itself. So now it can go up to $2. And then you're allowing maybe another 100% for placement. So now you're up to $3. So your dollar bid suddenly became $3 because you had 2 different modifiers. So if you have other modifiers, just be careful because they could be stacked. So you'd be giving Amazon a lot of leeway. So this one is proceed with caution, but it could be great if you're looking to get additional sales as well as additional impressions and more data. They're trying to figure out like, where is it? So you're saying my guess is $1, but I'm willing to go higher. Then there's rule-based bidding. Now this one has a few more caveats. You must have at least 30 conversions in a 30-day span of time. And instead of bidding on like an amount per click, you're bidding an amount you want as your ROAS. And you're like, well, what's my ROAS? Most sellers tend to focus on their ACoS, their advertising cost of sales. So for example, if your advertising cost of sales was 25%, you could very easily figure out your ROAS by taking the number 1 and dividing it by your ACoS. So for example, 1 divided by 25% equals 4. So a 25% ACoS is a 4 ROAS. So if you wanted to bid on a ROAS of 4, you put in 4 as the ROAS as a rule-based bidding. Now this one just keep in mind, you might say, well, I'm currently at a 3 ROAS, but I don't want to get more than a 4. You want to have at least a ROAS of 4. So if you put in your ROAS of 4, you might start losing impressions. So this is one that sounds great. Like Amazon, you go find me conversions at a particular ROAS and they'll do their best. But basically, what it comes down to is impressions are very valuable to them. They're not going to show them if they don't think that they can get the return on their own placement that they're giving you. Proceed with caution on that one. Sounds like it could be good, but it's not necessarily the best for everyone. So let's take a quick little summary of when to use them. So like fixed bids, for example, when you're lacking impressions, you have new product launches and you have very strict budget controls. You want to be very precise. You would use fixed bids as well as new campaigns. Then we suggest switching to up and down after 20 orders. When not to use fixed bids would be to control your ACOS or overspending bids. Be careful with that. So you want to potentially use down only in those particular situations. And then dynamic down only is for controlling campaigns where ACOS climbs pretty high, or the new campaigns with strict ACOS or budget control. So if you're really worried starting out and you have very strict budget, you don't want to go above and beyond that, you want to potentially use the down only. But if you're trying to get more traffic and impressions and you're figuring that you're kind of in growth mode, you're willing to go above and beyond, down only might not be the best one. Then the up and down is going to be better for when you have a new campaign and you're not quite as worried with your budget control and you really want to get more data. Then up and down is going to help you get more data. And then you would not want to use it if you're trying to trim the fat, so to speak. If you're trying to lower your ACOS, you would not want to use the up and down. And then rule-based is going to be more when you have very specific ACOS goals and you have the data to back that up. You wouldn't want to do that on newer campaigns. Even if you have the 30 conversions in 30 days, I would say you want to have several months before you get into this, because 30 days could just be, it's a good season. You want to make sure that you really have a good understanding of for that campaign, because you're bidding that. One thing I forgot to mention at the beginning, all of this is done at the campaign level. So you want to make sure that you have good data to support whatever bidding strategy you're going after. My name is Kevin Sanderson from My Amazon Guy. Hope this was helpful for you. And if you'd like to have more information on our standard operating procedures, like the one I just showed you, you can go to myamazonguy.com/SOP. With that, take care and happy selling.
I know how tough it can be juggling PPC, SEO, and account issues while trying to grow your Amazon business. That's why we're here. At My Amazon Guy, we've helped thousands of sellers like you. Scan the QR code or click the link and let's tackle your biggest challenges together.